Send in the clowns and get ready for the greatest show on Earth. It's time to look at the very first episode of Karakuri Circus. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, get ready for a story that can only work in a Japanese anime. It's the brand new series, Karakuri Circus, which is based on a long-running manga series, which just so happens to be from the creator of Ushio and Tora. I myself really enjoyed Ushio and Tora, so my hype levels for this show are pretty much through the roof. This is one of those shows that I've been following very closely, the promotion behind it, as really the overall style and visuals of the show are very unique and unlike anything that I've actually ever seen before. I've only seen so many anime series which actually try to do something in a circus setting, and to be perfectly honest with you, I can't even really think of too many off the top of my head, and the only circus scenes that I can actually think of are some runaway one-off scenes from random animes like Gundam Wing. But here, they fully embrace everything that is the circus, which is kind of unique as the circus, at least in the United States, is something that's practically extinct at this point, but a lot of it has its origins in French culture, which this show is absolutely drenched in. In fact, the alternate title of the series is Le Cirque de Karakuri. But while this show might be wrapped in the tricks and tropes of everything that is the circus, there's a darker element behind this series, and the actual story itself is going to be anything but ordinary. So let's go ahead and jump into this one right here. This entire first episode is establishing the main characters of the story, but only so subtly explaining what this overall adventure is going to be all about. The quick little rundown on this story is that it all involves the character of Masaru Saiga, who is this young boy who comes from a very well-off family, so well-off that they're incredibly rich, and his father has recently passed away, and ever since this happened, he's been continuously followed by these men in black. But they're not actually men, they're living puppets. Puppets that are able to attack people in a number of really crazy ways. And honestly, they come across as very creepy. As he's trying to run away from these guys, he just so happens to run into this young martial artist who goes by the name of Narumi. Narumi just so happens to be someone who is currently working for the circus, and what's interesting about his character is that he seems to have a very unique disease. Basically, it looks like unless he makes people laugh, he's suddenly just going to choke and die. The only way to remedy any of these situations is if he can make people laugh out loud. And lucky for him, he's kind of a clownish character. In fact, when you see him for the first time in the series, he's in a ridiculous bear costume, and just seeing him nearly choke to death, which is kind of dark when you're saying it out loud, is actually pretty funny, especially watching him gyrate and thrust through the air. It's hilarious, but he actually witnesses Masaru being attacked by these men in black and decides to attack them, realizing that they're not normal humans, going as far as to seeing that he can break their neck and dislocate their shoulders, and absolutely nothing stops them. They're basically puppet Terminators, and luckily he is able to save Masaru. They get onto a train where we start to learn a little bit more about his backstory and the mysterious death of his father. According to Masaru, his father died in a car accident, but in the wreckage was a puppet. This leads him to believe that there is some sort of secret motive going on, these group from the shadows, which tried to take out his father, but still for a complete unknown reason. The obvious thing here is he's the son of a tycoon, a guy who had a lot of money, and I'm sure someone is going to be after it, but it seems like there's a much bigger secret at play here. We also learn from Masaru that he comes from a long line of very experienced puppeteers, to the point where we get a flashback sequence about him and his grandfather, who takes him to this very creepy-ass room filled with all of these very disturbing puppets. According to his grandfather, everyone in their family has always been very astute at creating these puppets, which are known as Karakuri puppets, which are very just extreme in terms of the details and the machinations which involve making their body move around like realistic people. Masaru learns from his grandfather that if his father does pass away, people are going to come after him, and that's when he decides to entrust him with this suitcase, which is filled with this really awesome puppet. It's basically an attack puppet, sorcery eat your freaking heart out. And the puppeteer is going to be a woman by the name of Shirogane, who doesn't make her appearance until the very end of the episode, after this incredibly breakneck sequence of watching Masaru and Narumi try to run away from these puppets who are wearing suits, who end up derailing this massive train and crashing it, conveniently, of course, into a circus tent where a big confrontation ensues. We finally are introduced to the character of Shirogane, who is this French woman wearing ridiculous polka dots and has the skill to control a puppet like it's some sort of, like, weapon. It's insane, and it's done with some amazing style, as she's actually able to take out one of these attack puppets in a very stylistic and awesome fashion. The actual puppet that she uses goes by the name of Harley Quinn, and what I really love about it is its very unorthodox style of attacking things. It's actually missing an arm, and apparently seems to be using that arm as a weapon. It's basically a giant puppet arm with blades at the very end of it, and that combined with its somewhat ninja-esque appearance makes it really terrifying and, dare I say, just absolutely badass. Both Shirogane and Narumi seem like they desperately want to help out Masaru. A lot of that is because Shirogane seems to have some sort of connection to Masaru and his grandfather. She apparently learned how to be a puppeteer from him, but still, all of that's incredibly mysterious, and Narumi is just a really nice guy who wants to help out this kid. But what happens is they almost end up getting into this battle with Masaru jumping in the way, and he ends up getting his clock absolutely cleaned by this guy. While Narumi is kind of goofy, he's a really badass martial artist, I actually have to say, and eventually they realize they have to get him some help. Shirogane's having some trouble hailing a cab because, I mean, just look at these ridiculous polka dots, but eventually Narumi decides to take her and Masaru to a doctor who decides to help him out, and it assures that he is going to be healed. The problem is the mysterious organization that's been controlling these puppets looks like they're going to be going after them again, and the episode ends with them coming face to face with his evil puppet, which goes by the name of Punchinella. It's crazy, it's ridiculous, but honestly, the premise has got to be one of the most unique things I've ever seen. So, what's the rundown on the very first episode of Karakuri Circus? This is a weird first episode, and it moves at such a breakneck pace, and you don't even really have too much of a time to sort of come to terms with everything that's going on. It's a real simple story, though. It's just a kid who's running away from some bad guys and gets some help from some friends. Friends with ridiculous, crazy powers. Already, I think the most intriguing characters, without a doubt, have to be Shirogane and Narumi. They're very similar, but very different all at the same time. Shirogane easily being the most mysterious and more intriguing of the two, if only for the fact that she has a connection to Masaru and his family. We don't know why that is, aside from the fact that she seems to be an expert puppeteer, and her skills with this Harley Quinn attack puppet are pretty freaking awesome. I already made a joke earlier about Sasori, and yes, that's exactly what it reminds me of, the character of Sasori from Naruto, who's able to use puppets in a battle scenario. He was able to use them as weapons, and already visually, stylistically, it looks awesome in this episode. It's one of the coolest things about it, but Narumi is an absolutely fun character too. He's very different. He doesn't seem to have any crazy superpowers or anything, and watching him run around in the episode in a giant bear costume, for the most part, adds to a lot of laughs. But he seems to have some genuine skill as a martial artist, and seems to be a pretty upstanding guy considering he just met this kid and immediately wants to help him. A lot of that has to do with the fact that really, while he comes across as a big gruff dude, he's actually a big softy who just wants to make people laugh. Whether that's for just the satisfaction of it or because it's preventing him from dying is unknown. There's a lot of mystery to this first episode. There's a lot of history which is completely unknown. This is just a straight introduction to these characters and the wacky, crazy world that they live in. Really, the best things about this episode have to really be the style and the character design. Shirogane is instantly, like, just looking at her design with her weapon immediately makes me realize she's going to go down as a classic in terms of an anime character. I love the look of her immediately. She manages to be cool and sexy all at the same time, and the way that she actually utilizes the puppet is done in just such amazing style in this episode. You barely even really see it in action here, but man, does it leave one hell of an impact. And the giant chase scene against the attack puppets on the train as it gets derailed and it's crashing through the city is one hell of a visual spectacle. One thing I do have to say, though, is the first episode just go so fast. It's just an absolute blur of craziness, and you don't really even have any time to really come to terms with anything. I mean, Masaru just sort of appears out of nowhere, running away, and the story just immediately begins and does not stop from there. They give us a little bit of exposition, but for the most part, this is a show that allows its visuals to tell its story, and for that, I certainly do have to applaud it. That, and you just have to accept that this is going to be a crazy show all about circuses and puppets and crazy abilities. That's what I'm really looking forward to seeing the most. It carries a lot of that visual style of Ushio and Tora, and the same anime studio is actually working on it, although I have to say that I think things look a little sharper here, especially in the action department. It just really explodes off the screen, and I can't wait to see a lot of what they're going to do with the creativity of this show, because really it can go anywhere from this point. I don't know what sort of adventure we're getting ready to get into, but I'm interested to see what this oddball trio is going to get into in Karakuri Circus. The first episode sucked me in visually. It's got a unique premise, and really, I highly recommend checking out this show if you're looking for something new and unique. It's Karakuri Circus. It's awesome. I'm giving the very first episode a 5 out of 5. It actually wowed me that much. It's another fantastic show this season, which fall 2018 anime season, damn, this has just been one of the best that I have ever seen, and this is another one that we can add to the list of great shows. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this episode. Definitely check this one out. It's a crazy show, but I really love to hear all of your thoughts about it. That's what I'm most interested in. Did you guys watch the very first episode of Karakuri Circus? What did you think about it? Tell me all about it in the comment section below, and what you hope to see from the rest of this brand new, super unique anime series. Thank you guys for watching this review. Make sure to subscribe to the channel to see tons of other anime reviews. Like I said, fall 2018 anime season, tons of shows. Look for all the playlists on the channel. Make sure to hit the bell notification icon. That way you can hit the notification nation. Thank you guys for watching this review. I'll see you all next time, and as always, stay down there, baby.